It's another week, so that means it's another update. But before we get into it, this was a pretty neat blog to see released after last week's update. They gave us the amount of players that voted in the sailing poll, reinforced to the no voters that they have important voices in the upcoming process, that they want to hear from them as to how they can improve sailing for everybody. They answered the question of why wasn't it polled separately. Basically, Summit polls have more visibility, and it was in the middle of the poll because they wanted to put Varlamore before it to give Varlamore the spotlight, since everybody's already pretty much aware of the sailing skill. As for what's next, they're currently planning the development roadmap, and they're planning to run multiple betas to be able to get hands-on with sailing before the launch, and the first one should be coming soon next year, with the skill planning to be released late 2024. But here's the part that I really like to see. As a person who really enjoys data, it was nice to see the vote percentages, not only over time as to who is voting yes as well as who is voting no, but also how many by hours, that way you can see the biggest spikes as to when the votes happened. Pretty much a nice curved bar, but there is an up peak right here. It was also broken down the split of yes and no by total levels, seeming like the lower levels mostly were saying yes, so our fresh faces and newcomers were hoping to get sailing, with a little bit of a bigger differential into the higher total levels. And the split of non-Ironmen versus Ironmen is kinda interesting to see that more Ironmen were voting yes percentage-wise as opposed to normal players. It allows us to see that there's not really any major spikes that occurred, meaning there was no one botting or spite voting the poll. Most votes came from quote-unquote main accounts. Ironmen were about a third of the total votes. Looks like about a quarter of the people who voted no to a new skill back in December actually switched from a no to a yes for the sailing skill. And we finish off with just another thank you to all of the voters again. But I think I would like to see more of the poll result summaries, not even just for the big updates like sailing, but even more of the minor ones that come through. Be quite interesting to be able to see all the analytics. Now, on to the update blog this week. Looks like we have a bunch of adjustments for Deadman. Cannot use a trinket to teleport past level 30. Chat spam has been reduced for another sigil. No more emergency teleports out of fights like the Ring of Life or the HP Cape. You can XP toggle at any of the Deadman chests and banks as opposed to just at Nigel, and they adjusted the spawn locations of a handful of multi-combat breaches. For the main game, it looks like on the 7th we're going to be getting a overhaul on the Jagex launcher, as well as the option to play on HDOS. Whenever you have a Tsar Slayer task and you accidentally click off whenever you get it, it won't automatically remove a Jad Zuck task dialog box. Miscellanea will now pull from the coffer as well as have your items ready to collect at midnight as opposed to the time that you completed the quest. And we changed some iconography on a chest in the Stronghold of Security. Going into it a little bit more in depth, the main thing for Deadman mode that we see different, they're trying to condense the action a little bit down more toward the end of the tournament, so they have removed some more worlds. Then they go on to show the new refreshed look of the Jagex launcher, as well as the benefits of importing your character over to it again. And the part that I like, coming up, the poll for the League's 4 rewards and the Scar Essence mine is still up and running. Looks like we still have about a day and a half or so to vote. We're soon coming up for the community consultation for Varlamore. In the first batch, they're going to talk the Hunter Guild, Perilous Moon's Quest, and the Fortis Coliseum. Rest of the poll 80 changes are on the way, they just don't want to mess with the Deadman mode while it's going on, so we'll be able to see those after Deadman is over. Next week, we get Path of Gluffery coming. They only recently talked about it in the Summer Summit, and it's already on its way to the game. And like with Forestry Part 1, they have decided to cancel the beta for Forestry Part 2. This one apparently not due to issues with the beta itself, but more that they can focus on the mobile TLI update. The new events that are coming in Part 2 are going to have a healthier spread of XP rates they learned from Part 1's release. And just in case people forget, they have canceled the teas coming along with Forestry Part 2. And we finish up the blog again with the mention of the Tsar task. If you run off and accidentally kill a regular one, you will be defaulted into the regular task. Otherwise, you can just talk to the Slayer Master again. And again, the kingdom has been changed to collect on midnight, and it will be rounded up, so if you are one that collects from your kingdom, you should have about an extra day's worth of resources waiting for a login for you. And it looks like the Stronghold of Security chest change was because back when they had to change the medical themes throughout the game, I guess we missed one. And the normal PvP world rotations. Looks like that wraps up this week's update, but before we leave off, they snuck in an update I've been wanting for a while. You can now randomize in the music player your unlocked tracks as you're playing the game to shuffle through them. Have a good day, you guys.